in Canada, every 5 minutes, someone has a stroke. And here to tell me more about that is the BON Stroke Services Foundation. I'm so glad you're here today. So I've got Emilia and Issy. Emilia, I'll start with you. Every 5 minutes?
Yeah, so research suggests currently that a stroke can occur that often in Canada. So we're working at our agency to support stroke survivors and caregivers and provide education around signs of stroke so that folks can recognize those signs and know that this is a medical emergency.
So, okay, can you have a stroke and not know you've had a stroke?
Good question, yes. The signs of stroke are different, just like each person's stroke is different. The effects of stroke are different. So the signs of stroke, we want people to think FAST. So that's an acronym we remember to think about the signs of stroke. F for face, is there any drooping? We can ask a person to smile. A for arms, looking for any weakness. We can ask the person to raise arms, look for any weakness there. S for speech, is there any slurring? And then T for time, because we know time is brain. The longer we wait for treatment,
the more likely it is that there would be permanent damage, the longer that it takes to get an ambulance there and get them help.
Exactly.
So what happens? Somebody, how do you know to even do that? That's where I'm a little confused. I could be talking to someone, and what happens? What do they look like that I suddenly think, oh, something's odd with this person?
So if we are showing the signs of stroke, we want to remember that acronym FAST.
But what are the signs of stroke that I would even think to do that?
Can I?
Yes.
Okay, let's
your
talk about.
Your face will start to droop.
So you ask them to smile, and,
Yep.
and if they don't.
If their faces, the lips are crooked, then you know if it droops that they're having a stroke.
Okay.
And if they're slurring their words.
Then I start to say, wait a minute, okay, and I go through that. But mostly it's 911. Call 911.
Always.
Is what I should be doing.
Yes.
Okay. Issy, you're an expert on this. You've had 2 strokes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and it's not just older people who have strokes. You were how old the first time?
24.
24, wow, yeah. What happened? Tell me about it.
I woke up in the morning and my arm was numb. It was like pins and needles. It's almost like when you sleep on it. And I couldn't grasp things tight. And then as I progressed during the day, I'd gone to a laundromat, did my laundry, and this all happened in New Brunswick. And we had an old general store that had a lunch counter. So I was sitting at the lunch counter, and all of a sudden I could feel my face kind of going numb. So I'm going, okay, something's going on. And still, my hand still had pins and needles. And did finish my laundry. I went home and I said to my mom, should I go to Emerge? And she said, no. She said, the doctor's still in his office. So I went to him. And he did the usual test, put your hands out, don't let me push them down. This one stayed up, this one went down. Same with the leg, and then he would go around and poke me to see if I could feel. And this side felt worse, like the pain was a little bit more than the right side. And then he said to me, I think we should send you to the hospital. And of course Isabel was like, do I have to? I have a date. And he said, no, it's important. So off to the hospital I went. They admitted me. The nurses would go around every hour saying, squeeze my hand. So I would squeeze, but not tight. The next day, they did a spinal tap. And when they did the spinal tap, that's when I could feel my left side just kind of go heavy and hit the bed. And the reason they did that, too, is they didn't know if it was MS or a brain tumor because of my age. So then I left there, went to Moncton, had to go to the hospital there, had an angiogram done, which they stick a catheter in your groin, put dye in, and that goes to your brain, and that's where they found out that I had a bleeder.
And that's at age 24.
24.
Oh, my goodness.
Fast forward to now for my second one. It was almost the same thing, doing laundry, so I think for the third one I'm not doing laundry.
You're not doing no more laundry?
No, I did put laundry in, went to a little restaurant that was there, was sitting down having tea, went to stand up, and I got dizzy, and I went, okay, this is not good. Sat back down again, waited, got up, went and did my laundry, went home, cooked supper, went to bed. 12 o'clock I woke up, had to go to the washroom, I got sick. went back to bed. So 12, 1, 2, 3, 4:30, I woke up underneath my kitchen chair. I looked around, I'm like, okay, this isn't good. My phone, the house phone at the time, was on the other wall. So I'm like, oh God, please, please, put my hand up. My cell phone was there, called my best friend across the street. I said, I need your help. And she said, is the door locked? And I said, yep. Dragged myself over, unlocked the door, and then she came and called the paramedics.
So
and
again, it was speed. It was get you help.
And then when I
quickly.
got to KGH, they gave me the clot buster.
Right, and that's the way they treat it now.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's what helps you with less damage.
And that's where the time thing comes in.
Yes.
Is
Yeah, you have
because
a
if you can
3-hour
get
window.
that- 3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh golly. Oh, scary time. But you have made something of this. You now advocate and you help other people.
Yes, I
who-
do. I speak for stroke survivors that can't speak for themselves. I advocate for them, and then I also go and help them by being a peer support. So I call them to see how they're doing and give them motivation, and yeah, that's what I do.
What would you say is the biggest challenge that people who have had a stroke? It must come as a shock to most
yeah.
people that, me? What? So what's the biggest challenge that they face?
Having to live a new life. Because the way I describe to, I call people able-bodied, is I'm going along in my life, I'm walking down the street, somebody comes along behind me and knocks my knees out from underneath me, and that's the stroke. And then I go to the hospital and I'm laying there going, okay, what's going on? Am I gonna live? I'm gonna die? Do I have cancer? What the heck happened? And then you go through all staying in the hospital, and then you have to go to, say, Providence Care for rehab. And you're in there. When I did mine, I was at St. Mary's, and I was there for 6 to 8 weeks.
That's a long time. That
Yep.
really does disrupt your life. That
Well,
is
yeah.
a new life.
Yeah, and then the scary part too is when you come out of the hospital and you're going home, because in the hospital you're surrounded by nurses, doctors, everybody, other people. And then you go home and you're not surrounded by, especially if you live by yourself, you don't have anybody. So that's a scary time.
Okay, that's what people deal with 1 every 5 minutes, you said.
Yep.
Wow. Emilia, what are some of the things that, it would cut down on those numbers, but what are the things that we're doing wrong that we should stop doing to lessen the chances that we have a stroke?
So stroke prevention is a really important topic. We think about the risk factors that are in our control and the ones that are out of our control. Just being aware of those too. So out of our control, for example, genetics or different health conditions that we're predisposed to. So the risk factors we can modify would be things like lifestyle changes such as exercise. The importance of physical activity and exercise for our brain and body is paramount. So it's suggested that there's the recommended weekly amount of exercise, and that can look different for everyone. So whether we be out walking or we do some stretching, there's a lot of great modifiable physical activity things that we can do. So then we want to look at nutrition as well. High blood pressure is one of the risk factors for stroke that's very common. So if we can manage our blood pressure or even our cholesterol, those can help minimize our risk factors and prevent stroke.
So, one thing is even get your own monitor, your own blood pressure monitor, because you should monitor far more often than a doctor's visit. So, have your own. Save up those optimum points and
get
that's
one.
what I did.
Yeah.
I cashed in my optimum points and bought myself one so I can maintain, because you really should be taking your blood pressure that's one of the main, isn't it? As what I've always heard, is one of the main contributors to stroke is high blood pressure. Oh, it's wow, that's statistic still. So it's 100,000 a year, and that's just
Over 100,000 annually
100,000.
in Canada right now for new stroke diagnosis.
wow. That is just mind-boggling. And this is Stroke Awareness Month.
Yep.
So, what are some of the things that we're doing to, other than this, what else are you doing for stroke awareness? Issy, what are they?
Informing people.
Okay, yeah, so it's just, you know,
Yeah,
letting
just
people know,
talking to people.
become aware of it, check your blood pressure, modify your lifestyle.
Yep.
Yeah, and maybe be a little more understanding of people that have had a stroke.
That's the big
right?
one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this has been so interesting. Thank you so much for
You're
coming
very
in.
welcome.
Thank you.